No.
And back here with our ministering best buddies in the world, Johnny Lee Dees. Johnny Lee.
Yes, sir. Hey.
Got him barking.
I got to tell you, John, this message you had Sunday, you talked about being yoked together and never be yoked together with unbelievers. Well, how come I've been yoked with the wrong person more than once?
Well,
bad choices.
Right, exactly. You just didn't quite make the right choices the other time.
No kidding.
There you go. That's what happens. But it really becomes a problem. It really can become a problem.
Yoked together.
Yeah, that yoked is, of course, most of you already know that's a biblical term referring to a team of oxen that pulled the plow together. And what it's, of course, talking about is when a man or a woman, they get married, they're not to marry an unbeliever. So if you're a believer, don't marry an unbeliever. Now, again, before you get upset, I know all kind of folks out there that married a believer and unbeliever, and it worked out, they got together, but oftentimes you're going to ask for real problems because you've got a biblical worldview and the other person doesn't, or a biblical way of wanting to raise your family and the other person doesn't. It can become a real problem. That's why the Lord says pull together, the two of you. That's what Jamie's talking about.
What does flaws with fleece mean?
Well, a good question. We were talking.
Well, I'm reading it right. You wrote it. I mean, I'm just reading what flaws with fleece.
There you go. We were talking the other day. Jamie was referring. We're doing a little series on Gideon, and Gideon was. He had already been told by God what to do. And of course, a lot of folks are familiar that he set out what's called a fleece. He asked God to take this little piece of sheep skin or sheep wool and it would put dew on it one day and then put dew over on the ground around it the other day. And that's what he called his fleece. And that's why we call it. Well, I put a fleece out before God. Well, in that case, God had already told him what to do, and then he went ahead and kind of tested God. Now, God worked it out, and God still used it. God understands the times that we do that, but we need to be very careful. The flaws with our fleeces is that oftentimes we'll put out a fleece, or we think that's it. We think, and God's already told us what to do, but we maybe, like I use an illustration, was I supposed to marry this girl? Well, we walked into the jewelry store, and the first ring she put on it fit, so obviously,
that was a sign.
that
happened to you too?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, wait a minute, I've got a question.
Yes.
When we got married, I had the flu, and that morning before I could walk down the aisle, I had to get 2 shots in the butt.
Well,
I didn't take
and I've been a pain in the butt ever since.
that was the sign.
That is such a true story.
That was your fleece.
I just don't get too personal up here.
There you go.
You say we begin by giving God the privilege of taking his time. But here's my question.
Yes.
But I'm in a hurry.
Isn't that the truth? And how many times do we get in trouble because we're in a hurry? Most of us are in a hurry. Most of us are in a hurry. Hurry up, God. Show me what to do. Hurry up, God. Make this thing happen. You start a business. You raising a family. Lord, I just need it to happen right now. Or even if you got trouble in your marriage, it's got to be fixed today. Well, sometimes you got to give the Lord time to develop into your heart and your character the things that he wants to develop so that you can receive the blessing of having what you're supposed to have.
All right, one other thing before we start talking about football, because that's getting to our favorite time of year. You got he who walks with the wise grows wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. Mm-hmm. All right, here's my
Yeah, right.
Well, that's my problem. I'm yoked with fools.
Well,
You? Wait just a moment.
There you go. Jamie's right.
How do I unyoke?
If you are yoked with fools, you're going to make foolish decisions. You're going to be in a bad situation. That's why it's oftentimes a problem when you go into business with somebody who doesn't have the same values. You know what? I'll be honest with you too. That's why you should be very careful politically, even in this nation.
I'm yoked with Roy.
Well, I tell you, there's all kind of yoking that goes on. And when you vote for certain people and they're going to vote a certain other way, then you know what? You get yoked with foolish decisions and they affect all of us. But what that's basically talking about is be very careful of who you get tied up in business with, in your marriage with, obviously, even your friendships. One of the greatest ways I tell parents all the time with children, young children, that one of the greatest things to ever is they have great friends. But if they have foolish friends that lead them to bad things and bad corruption, they're yoked with a fool, and they're going to make foolish decisions that'll hurt them for years to come.
What is it you always say? You can raise them right, and then, 3 weeks with that wrong person and blown it off?
I've seen it a lot of times. You raise a kid. Yeah, you raise a kid so wonderfully, and Abby, you look so pretty. You look great. You look great, girl. I'm so proud of you. And you know what?
She's working, John.
Yeah, I understand that. I do.
She's the one who made that bad shot while ago, too. That's when everybody knows.
Well, at least she was cute. At least she was cute while she made it. There you go.
Let's
change the subject. We're both big football fanatics.
Yeah.
Of course, you're Auburn. I'm Bama. Bama and Bama.
You're not.
But we're all football fans.
Yes, sir.
Penn State.
Yeah.
They got absolutely smacked down, hammered. Did you see that coming?
No, not to that level. I didn't. And of course, there's every comment in the world's already been made on it. It's just, and again, what a pathetic, horrible, terrible shame that the pursuit of a dream overrode common sense. You know.
Of course, the paternal family is saying this is not true.
Yeah, and
but yet that investigation was paid for by Penn State, and they agreed to it before it was announced.
Yeah, right.
We're afraid it would be worse.
And hey, listen, God rest his soul. Only Joe Paterno knows everything. You know, he only knows the real things. But what a price to pay.
Growing up a football fan and being involved in it, knowing. I don't know if you ever met Joe Paterno or not.
No, I never met Joe.
But we interviewed a friend of yours the other day who asked about you, Dennis Holman. Mm-hmm. We did a thing with Dennis over in Florence, and he was a great friend of Joe's. He said he's just shocked. How do you think Joe Paterno now will forever be remembered?
Well, I think what I think will happen is for a couple of years, it'll be just, horrible, that kind of stuff. But I think in the long run, people will reflect that the man did incredibly good things for a lot of people, but made some horrendously bad decisions.
But will all these be overshadowed from what he did?
It's tarnished.
Always. He's tarnished forever, and that's the tragedy of it. And yet, there's so many wonderful things that he did do for people.
I thought Nick Saban brought up a great comment this week while he was on ESPN. Coach Chiswick was there one day. I guess they must fly them up to Connecticut and interview him.
Right.
His statement was with Chris Fowler.
Yeah.
And he said, well, are you going to seek any of these ball players, which Auburn may get one. And he said, what would you do if you were a ball player for Penn State? He said, well, first and foremost, remember, you're getting a free education. Mm-hmm. Only a few of you are ever going to play on Sundays.
Exactly. That's right.
You're still getting an education. Right. So before it's a mass exodus of ball players from there.
Right, absolutely.
You're getting an education.
And on a scholarship.
Yeah.
Are we moving in our new church yet?
So what now?
Are we moving in
Not
yet?
quite, but you'll be hearing more about that next week. But it's funny. I said the same thing to Nancy the other day. These kids still are at a great school and a great place. But I would think Urban Meyer's going to come out pretty good on this whole thing.
He'll get somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, Johnny Lee, anything else for the summer we can expect down at Cross Point?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to be modeling some new summer outfits in a couple of weeks, and so you'll want to show up for that.
Hey, don't forget Saturday's free tomato day.
Where is that? Where is that?
It's at Decatur at Farmers Market and at Madison's Farmer Market too. I don't know where it is in Madison.
I got hungry listening to y'all talking about tomato sandwiches this morning.
We'll be doing a little sports. Jeff will be cooking tomorrow. He cooked yesterday up here on the show, but we got some more candidates making their way up here tomorrow. Joseph Cannon, my buddy, will be up here tomorrow.
He will be here, and as well as Brad Horner.
Mayor Brad Horner, who's running against Ronnie Marks for mayor, will be here, so we'll see how all that goes. Plus other things happening tomorrow, too. Zach will be up here with sports. Shut Up will be with us. We'll be talking some sports right now on this Wednesday morning Cooper Company. We got to go. We're going to the Handy Festival in Florence. We'll have video of that coming up tomorrow, too, and we'll show you the remainder later this week of the great Casa Mud Volleyball Tournament. John, you should have been in that. You made a big splash.
Yeah, I would.
Mud splash.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
That's all right.